going to talk about the why irrigation is so important for healthy soils and food, and that's what is going to be there and what little Swar does. India has 17% of world's population with 4% of water, and our farming uses about 84%. And we are the largest user of groundwater. Our irrigation utilization efficiency is around 36 to 38%, while the global standards have been somewhere between 76 and 80. So I think what's happening in the context of our agriculture. Groundwater is 62% of irrigation, and 68% of India is drought prone, and a third of it is chronically drought prone. And that's the areas where we really work and trying to seek solutions. India is water stressed. Groundwater is alarmingly depleting, recurring drought and rising heat waves. So I think the context in which irrigation emerged in earlier vis-a-vis this new situation has to be factored in. There is a change in the food basket, and horticulture produce is now higher in quantity and in value compared to agriculture. And its demand is rising. RBI says that it is one of the causes for inflation. And at the same time, it offers better value realization in perennial crops for small and marginal farmers or the farming community as such. But the caveat is that perennials need groundwater, whose availability is lowest in summer. You know, many of our villages, tanker water is supplied. But all the time we talk about as if it's an annual water situation. The critical part is how much water is available in summer, because that's very important to the yield in horticulture or perennial crops and the survival of those crops. I think I graduate to say that groundwater will be the enduring gauge of this generation's intelligence in water and land management. I think that's the key problem that we have. What are the challenges? And I must start with what drove our sort of adrenaline, if I may call it. I've seen millions of fruit trees die. You know, Manmohan Singh even had a committee for following farmer suicides in Vidarbha to go and look at it, of these huge losses. So I found, or even now find, full peak yield age fruit trees die and dry. If they're dry, the yield is very poor, and if they're dead, a huge loss. This is despite tanker water being used, drip system being applied, etc., etc. This is the singular cause when we studied farmer suicides in terms of both loss of incomes, loss of asset, and debt, and with some of them even committing suicide. So the issue is moisture stress at the root zone is the cause of low productivity and poor farmer incomes. In drip system, which is considered the state of the art, I'll come to it a little later, farmer practice shows that they apply 60 to 70% more water than recommended by agriculture scientists. When we shifted and promoted drip system of irrigation, the claim of the ICAR was that it is 70% less water use compared to flood irrigation. What I'm trying to tell you is that actually we are back to square one, because farmers are all the time doubtful about the moisture adequacy at the root zone. So while ICAR lab tests, etc., may claim water efficiency in drip, I think the contra is true on the ground, as I find it. Now we have gone even one step further. We have now gone into precision farming, precision irrigation, where we find that plastic mulch is being put on the soil, right? This is going to leave the soils dead because it will be hard pan, no rainwater infiltration, no aeration, no scope for any living organisms to stay in the soil. Why I'm saying this is that we must understand the very close and intimate link between water and soil, and then come to the produce part, which is my lecture today or my talk today. And hard pan, etc., will mean higher evaporation loss and further increase in soil thirst. At the same time, we find that consumers are now seeking healthy food, and so we need to produce it so that people will get a higher price and therefore farmers' incomes. The key thing that I think which I want to stress and try to influence you from my experience is to understand the caveats and consequences of what we call as the state of art in water efficient drip systems, including precision irrigation. Unless we are able to understand that, I don't think we will be moving further in transforming irrigation and rejuvenating agriculture.